back to my channel. I am the Witty Shrew. In the last video I demonstrated how to set up an algorithm, and I showed everyone some terminology regarding our first computer program. Today we're going to begin using Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017. Now take note that their newer version of Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 is available on their website, but for this series we'll be using the 2017 version. So let's head on over to their website and we'll begin setting up a download. So their website is visualstudio.microsoft.com. So we'll go ahead and load that so I can show you what that looks like. Okay. And here on their website you're going to have a list of different software. We want the Visual Studio IDE, and what that stands for is Interactive Development Environment. Visual Studio Code is another great program if you guys want to install that just for fun and have that around. It's really powerful for developers. It's a code editor, so it's really great, Visual Studio Code. And another good one out there, in my opinion, is Sublime Text. That one is also good as well. A lot of people really love Visual Studio Code, and it does great things. So if you guys want to pick that up too while you're here, might as well. It's a great program. But we're going to go to Visual Studio IDE first. We're going to select your operating system. Now I've got download for Windows. If you go here, yeah, see they have it for Windows and Mac. We're going to go with Windows here, and we're going to select the right version that we need. It's only showing us 2019. It looks like they're doing that here. Then we should be able to get it from downloads here. Yeah, so you'll go here to downloads at the top because they just put out this newer software, like I said, which I might give that a try here pretty soon. See what all the new changes are. It seems like that would be pretty cool to use. But we're going to start out with 2017 for the series, and you'll select Community here. And then it's going to prompt you for the download and everything, but of course I'm not going to do that because I already went through this. Yeah, Community is great because it's the free version. And when you're prompted to install it, you'll have a selection of modules to install. Just make sure that you guys select C++ for your download module, because that's a language we're going to be using in creating our first program. Okay. So once you guys get this downloaded and installed, it might take you a little while, then we'll be ready to actually launch the IDE and begin our program. So once that's done, you'll click on it, whether you got a shortcut up on your desktop or you search for it in your search bar. If you're on Windows, if you're on Mac, you search for it. You'll bring up Microsoft Visual Studio here, and I've got it set to I don't got it set to maximize by default because I work on other projects and I usually have that off to the side while I'm doing other things. But you guys, when you run it for the first time, I'll have it set to maximize by default. It doesn't matter if you want it maximized, if you want to drag it, resize it, whatever you guys want to do. That's fine with me. But you're going to select here, we're going to go to File, New, Project, and you're going to want to go with that empty project here, the one right in the middle. And we're going to give it a name. So right here, you're going to name it. I'm going to call mine My Hello World, just like that. And select a repository to put it in. I'm going to go ahead and dump mine right here at my YouTube tutorials. Oh, and spoiler alert, yes, my real name is Aaron, but call me the Witty Shrew, please. Alright. And go ahead and hit OK there. Once that is loaded, it shouldn't take it too long. And while this is doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and bring up last video because you'll need to go ahead and pull that out wherever you have it installed. Okay. And that's another good reason to have your program resized, have the window resized on off here to the side. That way we can go through this and copy and paste it over. Alright. But to get started here, what we're going to do, you're going to go to your header files, because in step 1 we're to create a header file and name it. So we're going to right click on the folder that says header files, you're going to click add, and you're going to click new item. And you're going to click on the middle one here for header file, and we're going to give it a name. Hello world.h sounds pretty cool, and you'll click add. Okay. And now what we're going to do is here for step 2, and actually in step 1 you can type done if you want to do that, because that step we're not actually copying and pasting over, because it's something we did within the IDE and not within code. So anything we do over here that's in the IDE, the software that we downloaded, we'll just put done next to the step. But if it's a step we're copy and pasting over, like step 2 here, you'll just hit Control C or right click and copy, or I guess Command C if you're on Mac, and you'll paste that right in there like that. And that's what this pragma once is, and we're not going to go over that today. For now, it should be included by default in this header file when you make it. Don't worry about that for now. We'll go over that definition another time. But since I didn't include the definition for it within your terminology, we won't worry about that. But the meaning of it today, by default, it's in every header file you create. You'll see pragma once. But you'll hit enter. And the preprocessor statements we're going to be putting in here, we're going to use the same pound sign. And what that pound sign indicates, it's a symbol for the preprocessor, remember, in your definitions there. We're going to type include, okay, because we're going to pull in what's called some other header files that's within C++ into our program, so we can use some functions and variables that C++ provides. So you want to type these left and right angular brackets, and we're going to type IO stream. And what the IO stream header does is it brings in character input and character output so that we can print things to the screen, and we can ask for user input as well. And then the other library we're going to be putting in here for our headers, you'll type in include, and you'll use the left and right angular bracket, and you're going to type string. Okay, string, because we're going to be creating a string variable, and we have to include the string header to be able to create string variables, because by default they're not in there, so we got to put them in our program. So we call on those for the C++ libraries there, and we bring in our string header. Okay. Now you'll hit enter, and then we're going on to step 3. We're going to create a void type function. So we're going to put that right in there. And this is what a void type function looks like. When you create any function, it is type first, right? Type void. Okay. If it was an integer function, it would be int. Okay. If it was a char function, be char. We're going to type void because it's not going to have a type associated with what's called the arguments and parameters of the function. So we're just going to type void because that's the type that it is. And we're going to name this function something. We're going to call ours message. You can call it whatever you want. For example, if you want to call it potato goblin, if I can spell potato goblin, you could call it potato goblin. I mean, to each their own. I mean, you just be creative. And next we're going to do a set of open and close parentheses just like that. And you're going to see red squigglies pop up quite often while you're coding. You don't really have to worry about that until you actually compile your program. Sometimes it might be something you forgot to do, and it might just be that you haven't finished, wait for it, typing out your function like this. Boom. So anytime you create a function, you need to have those curly braces there, and then content within the function. And you can type your curly braces like this, or you could type them like that. Either way is fine. Both ways work. Whatever feels more comfortable to you guys is what I would suggest you go with. Okay, so let me stretch this just a little bit. We'll grab step 4, Control C here. From our algorithm, we're going to create a string variable now within this function. So we'll paste that in, and at the end of the line, hit enter, and it'll jump right back down. And if you want to move, you got an arrow there with a bar. You can move that back and forth. That way, because you're like, whoa, what happened? We'll just slide that back right there. Okay, so when we create our string variable, you're going to type the following syntax: std : string. Okay, and then the name of the variable. Let's go with a note, like a note in a bottle, right? We'll go with note. And you can give this name variable almost anything you want, as long as it's not a C++ reserved keyword. If you want to know what those are, you can go to Google, type in C++ reserved keywords, and it'll give you a big list, all right, of all the reserved keywords in C++, and how it's a big no-no to name variables and functions after names of reserved keywords. So we're just going to call ours a note, or you can call it anything you want. You know, potato. Okay. Very innovative right there. We're going to go with message. And we're going to type a neat little message. Hello world. This is me reaching out to you. And a little smiley face. Because we need little smiley faces. Because smiley faces make us feel happy. Okay. Oh, and the last part of this, you're going to type a semicolon. Because that terminates the end of the line. Right there. So I'm going to put a semicolon right there. So don't forget that semicolon. Don't forget those curly braces. Don't forget those parentheses. This stuff is not just typed by random, you know. It's part of the structure of everything. It's the structure of the universe, man. Don't break it, man. So you're going to need that semicolon right at the end there. Then hit enter. And then move your bar because it's crazy. And now we are ready to go on to the next step. We're going to be using our standard character output function that we make in step 5. So you'll hit enter, and then you will hit Control V if you're on Windows, and Command whatever key for Mac. Might be Command V, I don't know. Mac users, you know, I don't use a Mac. But anyway, or you can just right click and select paste. I mean, how simple is that? And then of course hit enter, and we're using the standard character out function to print this variable to the screen. Okay, so how that looks is we type std : cout, which stands for character out, left angular bracket, MSG, because that's the name of the variable we just made right there. Space, and you guessed it, left angular bracket, std, and now : and then this is going to be something called endl, which stands for end line. And if you guys ever want to know something, hover over it. IntelliSense lets you know it is a part of the template class, enum class traits, standard basic OStream element traits, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. It's character output function, ending the line there. And don't forget your handy dandy semicolon to make things breathe easy right there. Okay. And notice you don't put them after every line of code. Only certain lines of code use them. The more you practice, the better you get, right? So to get better at programming, practice, practice, practice. This stuff will and can become second nature if you do it enough, right? Just like walking, just like riding a bike. Starts out a little bit crazy at first, then you do it all the time. The more you do it, the better you get, the more familiar it is. And it's really that simple, guys. And sometimes things change over the years, but adapt to changes. But not to digress from our situation here. Let's move on. And we are actually done with that message function. So what we'll do is we'll pat ourselves on the back and we will begin step 6 here. And we'll create a void type function called pause. Okay. So copy that in. Paste it. Hit enter. And we're going to give it a name void, or a type void, and then the name pause. And guess what? It's not going to have anything in the parentheses either. We'll hit enter. We'll do our curly braces. And IntelliSense lines everything up for us. How thoughtful of them. IntelliSense, you're a very thoughtful entity. Okay, and then we will begin making our pause function. We're going to type out std, which stands for standard, : cout again, character output. And then we're going to type a little message. How about please press enter to end the program. Even happier face. Yes. And then a semicolon to end that line. Okay. And then here's where the magic happens. Here's how we add some pause functionality to the screen. I've been talking about standard character output. Now we're going to use standard character input to freeze the screen. A lot of people, to freeze the screen starting out, use system pause. Some people might use something more advanced, such as running nested if statements within a loop. We're not to loops yet. We're not to if statements or nested if statements. We're beginners here, so we're going to use beginner stuff, which character input is probably, in my opinion, the next thing you would need to learn after character output anyway, so it's not really skipping that far ahead. And I would feel a lot more comfortable showing you guys that than showing you a loop and not even explaining what a loop is, because that would be craziness. So we're going to do std like this. Okay. I'm going to type in sin, C-I-N, which stands for character input. And we're going to do dot. And this is where we pick from functions. We're going to use the clear function right here. And we're going to end it with a semicolon. And neat thing, remember when I was telling you guys about comments, I can put them anywhere in your code and it's ignored by the compiler? You can put them even after code if you want. And what this does is it resets any character input error flags. And that's what that does. Alright, now we're going to go with character input, and we're going to use the sync function that's provided for us. See, in programming, you're not only going to create functions, you're going to use functions. That's a part of not only C++'s library, but that can be also a part of the C library. It could also be a part of third-party libraries. You can go out and download someone else's code or another organization's code with their permission if they let you import it into your project. With their permission, you could do that, and you'll be importing even their functions and their header files and stuff, and that's essentially what we're doing here. But we're using C++ standard functions here, so it's a part of C++ language. So we're using the sync function here, and what it does, it will discard any unread characters. Now we're going to go with character input here for the last one, and .get. And like I said, if you ever want to know a meaning, public int std istream get file istream. But what it's doing is it's getting user input. Okay. It's going to wait for it too. Getting and waiting for user input. Okay. Alrighty then, we've got our two functions we made in our header file. Okay. And now we're ready for step 7. We're going to create our C++ source file and give it a name. So now that we got this, also don't forget to save often. Just hit File, Save All. Boom. You'll come over here to your source files folder, left click to highlight it, right click, hit add, hit new item, and now we're making something called a C++ file, which is a part of C++. And let's give it a name. You can call this the same name as your header file, or you can give it a different name. What's up? But I'm just going to call it hello world.cpp. Include that .cpp for sanity's sake there. Stands for C++ and hit add. Okay. So now we brought over our C++ file, and we can type done here because we got that finished. And step 8 is for our preprocessor statements. So we're going to grab that. And notice how it doesn't have pragma once here when you create a new C++ file. Take note of that. Future knowledge incoming, right? Paste that in. Hit enter. And our preprocessor statements will go here. Okay, and what we're going to want to do, for this, we don't have to include IOStream or string because we included it in this header file. So right here in our C++ file, all we're going to do is include, and we're going to use these double quotes here. And the reason why we're using double quotes and not the angular brackets is the angular brackets suggested that it was headers or libraries, right, that are outside of our project. Because IOStream and string wasn't something we created, it's outside of our project, right? It's not within our project solution here. So we use the angular brackets. But hello world.h is, so you use the quotes for that. And if you want to type out part of it and then just hit tab until it sense fills in the rest. Real simple, guys. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, and now we'll hit enter twice. I mean, you can hit it once. I hit it twice. I like leaving a gap. You can have as many white spaces as you want in your code. It's fine for the most part. And that way it makes your code look cleaner, makes it look better. So you're all good to go. So let's bring in step 9 here. And that's our main function. And for our main function, here's how it looks. We'll type int and we'll type main. Like that. Lowercase, lowercase. That's our main function. Okay. And now we're going to put in our call to our void functions from right here. Step 10. Hit enter. Scroll the bar. And we call our functions like this. And our pause function, we'll call it like that. And I'm going to show you guys the compilation of this now. Oh yeah, you return 0 there. Customary practice. And we'll go ahead and hit file save all. And if you don't have to do it this way, but some people like to build their solution before they run it. Once you run it, what you're doing is you're compiling it for it to be built and ran. But if you just want to compile it and build it, you can go up here and you can right click and you can hit build solution. And it'll build it and let you know if you got any errors. And you should have an output box. Mine's on the bottom. Yours could be to the side. It could be wherever you put it. You can move these windows around. I'm just leaving it here by default. Build 1 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 up to date. Alright, so we know there's no errors in my code. Okay, and now we're going to hit the local Windows debugger. Okay, so you'll click that. And I've got a little Avast antivirus software installed, so it's going to scan it and make sure there's nothing malicious going on, which is good. That helps me out a bit, right? Avast is pretty cool. All right, So here's my program there. Hello world, this is me reaching out to you. Please press enter to end the program. Well, ended. Just like that. Now, let's go back and try some stuff here. All right? What happens if we don't include return 0? Let's run it. Does the program explode? What happens? Let's find out. After a vast cybercatcher gets done doing its thing. Okay, there we go. Please press enter to end the program. There you go. Still worked. Didn't have to put return 0. But because it's customary practice, let's go ahead and put it. Because we have a function of type integer, and it's looking for that return 0 there for it. So we gave it a return 0 for our main function. Alright, so make sure the project is saved. And guys, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for another video in the series. We'll continue where we leave off here, learning more C++ tools. Not sure exactly how far along I'm going to go in this series. We might take it all the way up into advanced C++, you know, working with like templates and overloading operators and stuff like that. But for now, we're just starting, you know, the beginner route. We'll see how far it goes. Thanks, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also hit that little bell. It'll keep you notified of any new videos that I come out with. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. This is the Witty Shrew signing off.